And so now we're live. And so I just wanted to Sherri, thank you for coming on today. I really appreciate it. And let everybody know that's out there in the crowd listening that today we get to talk to the amazing and talented Sherri Smith. She's an amazing realtor in Maryland. What part of Maryland are you in?
The Baltimore area, Baltimore County.
Okay. And even better than all of that, everybody, she is a United States Army veteran, correct? Served our
Yes.
country proud, and now she's out to help veterans. So, Sherri, what we're going to do today is just get to know you. We're going to learn about what you like to do, what are your hobbies, what got you into real estate, and more importantly, just understand why it's important for you to help veterans and the things that you do for them. Okay, so to start, why don't you give us a little bit of a history lesson? Kind of tell us what you did in the Army, and then kind of after the Army, what led you into becoming a real estate agent?
Okay, well, that was many, many years ago when I was in the Army. It was
Like
right out of
four or
high
five?
school. Well, I don't want to date myself, but okay, it was in the early 80s. I went in
Okay,
the Army, and
nice.
um, I was stationed in Schofield Barracks, Hawaii, and I became a legal assistance clerk where I helped with the soldiers with all their legal problems. And, you know, I was in there for 2 years.
Okay. And so after coming out of the Army and serving that way, sounds like you got a lot of people out of trouble or you broke a lot of bad news to people, which absolutely transitions to real estate, right? Like, oh, I got bad news. It's going to be great.
I think everything I've done over the years transitions into real estate.
Okay. So what'd you
Yeah.
do after the Army?
Well, during the Army, the 2 years I was in the Army, I got married and had a child very young. And I ended up having, raising her by myself. So I got a job in the insurance industry, Allstate Insurance Company, and I worked there for 4.5 years. And I was in Southern California, so I moved from Orange County to San Diego when
San
my
Diego's
child was
amazing.
5. Oh, it's beautiful. And I stayed in the insurance industry for a while, and then I got into juvenile probation. And that's when I decided I wanted to be a court reporter. So actually, I was a court reporter for 23 years, and
Wow.
that helped me out a lot as a single mother. I was able to earn a good living.
Sure.
But then, I started having a lot of health problems working day and night, and I knew I needed a change and I wanted something, more where you're making a difference in people's lives. Because court reporters, they're the ones that are the unsung heroes. Nobody knows they're there unless they want a transcript right away or they want you to read back testimony. So,
Hmm.
I ended up deciding to be a realtor, and that happened during COVID. Right when COVID happened, I decided to be a
Okay.
realtor.
So did you do for the length of time that you were in the judicial system as a transcriber, as a court reporter, did you do that
Well,
in Maryland or did you do that in California?
I got my license in California, and the economy was very bad. This was in 97. In the legal field, it was very saturated in Southern California. So I had to move. So I packed up everything and moved myself and my daughter to Huntington, West Virginia to be a court reporter
Okay.
because, there was a shortage in that part of the country. So I left and moved from San Diego to Huntington, West Virginia, and worked as a court reporter there for 7.5 years. And then my daughter was in college, so I needed to move to an area where I got paid more. So she stayed in Huntington, and I moved to the Baltimore area, and I stayed a court reporter until COVID.
Yeah.
And so
Well, that
I've
kind of
been a
messed
real
everything up, right? People weren't exactly going to their court appointments like in the courthouse, so it's probably pretty difficult to transcribe with botchy video and internet not working good, and
Well, see,
sounds a little
I didn't
difficult.
transcribe. What I did is we have these steno machines, and you go into a deposition and you take down testimony of everybody in the room.
Oh wow, so you're doing
It's with
everyone.
shorthand. Pardon me?
So if there was like four people in there, you were having to shorthand write for four different people.
Right. You distinguish voices.
Woo!
You have symbols on your writer. You have
Yeah.
symbols of who's talking, and you take down what everybody says in the room, and then after that you go home, and then that's where you take your notes and you make a transcript.
Oh my
And
goodness. Look,
very
you're way better
isolated.
than me. I don't think I could do that. I don't have the attention span to be able to pay attention to that many people. I think that would overwhelm me. If there's like four people talking, and especially in a deposition, right? Because sometimes people start yelling at each other. I
Oh yes.
much respect to you being able to do that and kind of like understand that like person A was screaming at person B while person C was trying to jump in and you had to remember what they all said. That's amazing. That's talent, actually.
Well, that's why there was a shortage of us. There's always been a shortage, and we were all overworked. And
Underpaid. That's how it works, right?
yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So coming into COVID, so what was the driving factor and what made you decide that real estate was the industry for you?
Well, I wanted something that was entirely different from court reporting, where I'm actually helping people change their lives for the better, and I love to solve problems. And I felt like I was capable of more than just, sitting there and taking down what everyone else says.
Hmm.
So I thought, now is the time to change and enter a field which is pretty much made up of, you know, middle-aged people, so I didn't have to worry about being too old for the profession.
Sure. No, with all the life experience that you have and the things that you've seen in the world, if anybody could relate to someone on a multiple like type of level between, good to bad to, even being that consultative person as a realtor to make sure that people don't get too stressed out, like you've seen enough in
Yes.
the 20 plus years that you were in the court system that like you can tell people definitely like I promise us not getting this house is not the end of the world. I am telling you that I can 100% tell you that because I've seen so much, worse. So your experience, I think, is going to help you be able to kind of keep people calm in those situations that they're in right now, where sometimes the deals move fast, the offers come in quick, people take in, they're going to have to look 4 or 5 houses, they're going to have to do 30 or 40 showings in order to find that house. And so I would almost venture to guess too that with everything you learn to do in the court system, patience is probably one of the things that you carry with you. You got to be a patient person to do what you did.
Yes. Yes. That has really helped.
Hmm.
That
Yeah. So
yes.
what part of Maryland do you work in the DC area? Is there a specific area that you're working into, or is there a pocket that you're kind of in?
Well, I've sold a home in Montgomery County near DC, but mostly I'm in the Baltimore County, and I've sold a couple of investment homes in Baltimore City too.
Okay. So as real estate goes for you, what are some of the goals that you have in helping someone? So if I was a first time buyer and I'm looking to purchase a home and you're going to help me purchase that home, tell me a little bit about like how you would help me and the kind of things that you would do to make sure that I knew, kind of what I was getting into, because a lot of people that are first time buyers especially, they just don't understand like what it's really going to take to buy this house. And so how would you help me as a first time buyer kind of let everybody know like what you can do for them so that when they call you they know they're getting the right person?
Yes. Well, I would explain to them the market that we're in right now. You may have to put down a few offers before you get your home. And right now, you cannot ask for seller concessions, and you have to make your offer stand out to be, it's just so competitive right now. But then on the bright side, the interest rates are still historically low.
Hmm.
So it is a good time right now to buy as opposed to a year from now when the interest rates are going to rise. And right now, it's just the time. I know it's difficult, but you just have to keep trying. If you don't
Yeah,
get the house, you have to keep trying. I mean, I had clients that it's heartbreaking to see they find a home they really want. And I always feel so responsible because, I mean, this young millennial couple, young family, they wanted this beautiful home in Ellicott City and they had their heart set on it. But there was one other offer where they offered 15,000 more, and my clients weren't willing to go over a certain amount. And I kept trying to tell them, this was last year, and I kept trying to tell them that the interest rates are so low that even if you $10,000 isn't going to be that much more a month. So
sure.
how bad do you want this house? But they didn't get it. But then they found another one, and I think they learned, and they found another one, and the offer stuck. So they're
Yeah,
happy.
well, I mean, that's a good point, right? Sherry, you make a good point of a lot of times buyers in this market, because it is crazy. Buyers are going to come in and they're going to go look at a whole bunch of houses, and it is so interesting to see that buyers still today will come into a real estate agent and go, "What's the best deal we can get on this house?" And they're going to want to go in and offer like they used to, $10,000 to $12,000 under the asking price. And then when they get into a multiple offer situation, before, like, it'd be 4 or 5 thousand over, people are starting their bids on homes at $10,000 to $12,000 over. So I think that even though people are ready, they're not ready, right? And so that's where you made good advice to that couple. And the best thing that a realtor can say to someone is what you said: is, here's the thing, $10,000 isn't that much more on a monthly payment. However, what's this house really worth to you? Like, if this is your dream home, if this is the home that you love, if this is the home that there's no other home that you would ever want to buy, it's worth it to go all in. But to your point, your clients learned and went, "Ah, there's other houses out there. We do really like this one. We're going to have to bring it this time.
Right.
Otherwise, it's not going to come in." So it's just very interesting to see how things go. I live in Texas, so here in the great state of Texas, the market moves fast. But when we talk to people in other parts of the country, it's moving faster there than here a little bit, because in Texas we got a lot of land, so we're building a lot of homes. And so it's still super crazy here, but we're fortunate enough that, maybe there's a little bit more of an inventory excess to what we have in Texas versus other parts of the country. Because if you go to a place like Baltimore, how much room is there really to build a house, like a new neighborhood, a new subdivision, and bring those in? Like, I would imagine, I've visited, I've never lived, but I mean, there's not a lot of room to put new houses up, right? I mean, you got to tear something down to build something new.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So on average now, how does the market move for you guys there in Baltimore? Like, uh are you seeing that it's starting to even out? I mean, interest rates are going up a little bit, and maybe that's going to deter people, but are you still seeing it as crazy as it's been for the last 2 years?
If you have a nice house that you're selling, like for instance, I just had a listing, a townhouse, a nice townhouse. The very first day it was on the market, there were like 15 offers, and everybody offered 20 grand over the
Wow.
asking price. I mean, it's still crazy. That is if the house is nice and it's priced competitively,
Sure.
and this is the time of year where especially this time of year, there's not a whole lot of homes on the market.
Right. I mean, we're starting to see a little bit where real estate's evening out a little bit in the past previously, right? January to a little bit into March, it was really slow. Matter of fact, November to about March was really slow. When you hit that Christmas holiday, you're into the new year. People went and bought Christmas gifts. They spent all their money. You know what I mean? Like they didn't want to do it. But as soon as mid March to early April hits, woo, it's selling season. People are ready to move. They're looking to move for jobs. Kids are switching schools. So it's coming, but to know that houses, even now, like you just had, listings that are getting $20,000 an offer over, it just still proves that there's plenty of people out there looking, and they want to buy houses. So as long as that's the case, right, they're still going to be for sale. But you're right. I mean, do you see that? Do you see it picking up in the next couple months? And do you think that once it picks up again and you get more houses on the market, is it gonna still? Do you think it's going to be even crazier than it is now, or you think that you guys have kind of evened out onto where you're going to be as far as how that market is moving?
I'm thinking we will probably even out, especially going towards the end of 2022. I
Yeah.
think it's going to even out, and interest rates are going to be inching up
Sure.
in
Well, interest rates are going
2022.
to help, even the playing field, as they would say, right? Like once that happens, kind of evens it out. The interesting thing about an interest rate, though, is, I mean, people were getting a 2.25, right, for 2 years, and now
Yes.
the government has investors, and investors want to make money, and investors are like, hey man, we've been giving money away for free, right? So now we want to make a little bit of money. So if you call someone today and tell them they're getting a 3.5, oh my god, they lose it. But you're like, listen, 3.5% on a 30-year mortgage is amazing.
It is.
Yeah,
It
but
is in
we're
comparison to what it
so
was.
spoiled though. We were
Right.
spoiled. We were getting 1.5, 1.9 for so long that as they go up. And the reality is this, a 2.25 to a 2.75 is like $15.
Hmm.
I mean, the reality is you're not spending much more money. I think a lot of people people want to win on an interest rate. You know what I mean? So like
Right.
if I got a 2.5 and then my brother got a 2.25, my brother's the winner. But if we bought the same price house in the same neighborhood, I'm paying $15 more a month. You know what I mean? Like you
Right.
won on the interest rate number, but what a lot of people don't realize is it's the taxes and insurance on who you pick for an insurance provider or what the requirements are for that house in the area that's really going to drive the cost of your mortgage up or down, right? Because if you live in an area that could flood, you have to have flood insurance. That means that
Exactly.
insurance is going to be pretty expensive. So your principal and interest might only be $400 on a loan of whatever size. There's cases where your property taxes and your insurance escrow is going to be like $800. So you doubled your principal and interest on your insurance based off where you want to live. So people are thinking that the interest rate is the driving factor that makes them go up and down. And the reality, in most cases, it's taxes and insurance. You got to, if you want to live in a good
Yes.
area, right? You're going to pay the money.
Right. I know because I lived in a flood zone in Huntington, West Virginia, and flood insurance it was outrageous. It kept
Yeah.
going up.
Well, that goes into the matter of the flood company is looking and going, okay, hey, what's the risk for me to have insurance in this area? Well, we know already, like if you live in parts of Houston, Texas, right? If it rains a lot, it's going to flood. There's places that the streets will flood and water will get in. Like we don't have to have a Hurricane Harvey to come here for water to build up. So there's places that even in Houston that's like, oh, the likelihood of this a neighborhood flooding is very great. So that means if I'm going to give you insurance, you need to pay more because I know you're more likely to flood than not. So I'm don't, the insurance company's not going to put a lot of their risk on the table. There's got to be skin in the game for both parties. And so I think a lot of first time buyers and even buyers of homes right now, like I got it. You want to live in a good area. But you should really do some research and figure out like is it going to be in a flood area? Is it going to be in an area where property taxes are super high? Or I know that there's parts down there in the DC area, DC. Maryland and Virginia area where the Amazon is moving in, right? So as soon as Amazon comes in and moves into the picture, your property values are going up. That means your taxes are going up. So yeah, you could get in for a low tax rate right now, but as soon as that business comes in, you might be paying double your taxes next year and be short on an escrow, and your payment's going to go up. So there's a lot of factors that go into that, and it's just good when agents can explain that to the client, because sometimes they just don't know. Sometimes people don't realize you got to pay money to buy a house either. How many times have you run into that?
Yeah, people do not realize how much they need to do it. And I've introduced a rent to own program to help people with lower credit scores and who don't have a lot of money. They have to
Sure.
come up with a little bit of a down payment.
Yeah. So
And
tell
then
me, tell me more about that. What's the program called?
it's a company called Landis, and actually, Will Smith was an investor in the company
Oh,
just
really?
recently.
Did you
Yeah.
get to meet him?
No,
Oh.
no, maybe someday.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it helps people who otherwise wouldn't be able to get into a home, and they do a cash offer in 21-day close.
Oh, really? So the
They
program makes the cash offer on behalf of the borrower, and then they rent the house after it's bought and then pay it off,
well, they buy the house for the client
right?
to live in. My client becomes their client, and they buy the house for my client to
Mm,
live in,
okay.
and they're actually my buyer, and I represent them as a buyer.
Right. But in a sense, once that house is purchased by the program, then the payment they're making is to rent the home, but that's a rent to own payment. So eventually they're going to own it. Their name's just not on it. It's just an easier path to home ownership, right?
Yes, it's like they part of their monthly payment goes towards a down payment, and then
Oh, okay.
after that, after like let's say any time after that, they could choose to buy the home. They have up to 2 years, and then they pay like 3% over the appraisal price. That's how the company makes their money.
Sure.
But their money, the monthly rental goes towards their down payment. And if they get help, like with the Maryland mortgage program, when they're ready to purchase, they get that down payment money back. They could use it, for closing costs. Or
Oh, that's good. So
yeah,
really it's a program to where you know what house you're going to buy, and you get to work on your credit for that 2 years. The rent
they
payment is the
help you.
down payment, and it just, yeah, that's a great program. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
it helps people with lower credit scores that don't have all that, the money for a down payment
Yeah,
in their.
or the money that the lenders will tell you, "Hey, I can get your credit up, but you're going to need like 12 grand right now to pay off accounts." And people are like, "Well, if I had 12 grand, I wouldn't have bad credit." I'm just saying. Like it would be good already. Like I
Right,
hope I didn't get
exactly.
bad credit and keep money, you know what I mean? So, in some cases it works, but it sounds like that program is something that people, it gives you the path to home ownership. That's a good deal. I like to hear that there's programs out there like that.
It's yeah, one of the things. So, what is the lowest interest rate that you give for VA loans?
Well, I mean, interest rates all depend on credit score. Number one, depends on what your credit score is. And then it also depends on how much you're purchasing. Is it going to be a regular loan, meaning below the county loan limit? Right now, the county loan limit is 647 200. That's the mid range, right? So then any loan that goes over that amount becomes a high price loan. So the interest is different. So, I mean, really, to tell someone, any lender that tells someone, oh, the lowest interest rate I can give you is, let's say, a 2.5, they shouldn't be doing that, because it's specific to every client, right? Like it's specific to the person. So me to just give you a number means I'm giving you a number so that you feel good. You know what I mean?
I know. I meant to say, what is the lowest credit score
Oh,
that
so
you would
credit
work?
scores on VA loans for the team I work with, 620, but we can go a little bit lower than that. And sometimes that depends on how much money they do have saved, right? Sometimes you don't have low credit because of accounts. Maybe you just have a lack of trade lines. So if you had reserves that were there, you could go below a 620, but on average 620 is about where we go. I mean, and again, that's us. Other people, they have different parameters. So,
That
yeah.
sounds about right.
For sure, absolutely. And so, what brokerage do you work with out there in Baltimore?
EXP.
EXP, nice. So
Yes.
they're technology driven, right? So I'm sure you have a lot of access to all those technology driven things. I heard they're a really good, uh, like family oriented company too. Like they make you feel like you're part of the team. It's always great to work with an EXP agent because they got it down, man. They they have that system. They're rolling through it. Um, did you have you always been with EXP, or did you just recently come in with them?
No, because when I first started, right when COVID happened, I went into Caldwell Banker,
Hmm.
and then everything shut down, and I stayed there for the first several months, and then I heard about EXP in some realtor group on Facebook, and I never heard anybody say anything bad about it, and I like the fact that it's on an iCloud, and it's pretty cool. You have your own avatar, and you could go on the cloud and talk to anybody if you have any questions. It's
Oh,
just,
so like if you had a real estate question, someone else in the EXP family could answer it for you and help you?
yes,
It's like
you
a
just get
chat
on
group,
the cloud.
basically, right?
They have that too. They have
Oh, wow.
chat groups, but this is like you have your avatar, you sign into EXP World, and you choose what department you want to go to, like either contract compliance if you have a question about that, and then you get on your avatar gets onto the cloud and you take a number and
Oh,
somebody
that's awesome.
comes and talks to you just like I'm talking to you, but we're avatars.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's really cool. You don't have
Yeah.
to worry about what you look like because your avatar looks like, you know,
Well, we all know that you don't have that issue, right? Like when people meet you and see you, they're going to be happy to work with you. I promise. They're not going
oh,
to
that's
worry
so
about
kind
any
of
of that.
you.
Yeah. So let's ask going forward for you in your real estate career, right? So I know that you were in the military, you were in the army, you served. Um, do you like? How do you right now? Do you have a lot of veterans that you help in their transfer process, or what kind of programs do you guys offer there in Baltimore for veterans that are looking to purchase homes?
Well, the Maryland Mortgage Program has a lot of benefits for veterans. I know that's one of them. And,
Okay.
there are lenders that say they can help a veteran with a 500 credit score, but I don't know how
I
that would
mean,
be.
it may be out there, but again, at the end of the day, everybody's different. So that's the one thing I'll portray to you is that if there's 1,000 different lenders in line to talk to you, you're going to have 1,000 different ways for somebody to qualify for a home, right? So overlays on what people look at to qualify a borrower and say, hey, this is what you're going to need to qualify for a home loan is going to be different for everybody. The risk that the investors are willing to take for that mortgage company are different for everybody. The
Exactly.
the way that the pricing for the interest rates are different for everybody. The structure by which the loans are underwritten are different from everybody. Some people have internal underwriters, some people do not. It really, and that's where when you're, every real estate agent, you should talk to every lender that you can, right? And find the one that is the go-to person to help you there, right? So what we pride ourselves in doing is I don't need to be helping your borrower, okay? I don't need to be their loan officer. But if you have a question or you have an issue or there's something on a VA related issue that you want to get an answer for, call me. I'll help you. I don't need to be doing the loan. I just need to help the veteran. So my main goal is to help the veteran. And so if I can help you help that veteran, we win, right? That's what we're there to do. And so everybody's different, right? So
Yes. I'd like to work with veterans. I mean, I can relate to them. I remember going through a lot being in the service.
Sure.
When I was 8 months pregnant, my husband at the time had orders to go from Hawaii to Washington, and I couldn't go being 8 months pregnant. I couldn't
Mhm.
travel. So I remember how hard that was. And, they finally let him stay, but it was very hard to get through that. And,
Yeah, I mean, when you gotta when the military needs you to go do a job somewhere, I mean, they don't take into account all the other things that go into that, right? And so you were a serving member of the military, but even if you wouldn't have been and you were just a spouse, they serve too, 100%. Like when my wife
yes.
and I go to events, like we went to a veterans networking event a couple weeks ago here in Texas, and we walked in, and I told them I was in the Navy, and I retired out of the Navy. And then they looked at my wife and they're like, "Oh, did you serve?" She's like, "Yep, I sure did. I'm his wife." And everybody kind of looked. I'm like, "Y'all know that's true, right? Because who's taking care of the kids, and who's getting them to the doctor, and who's taking them to school, and who's paying the bills, and who's doing, like the military members out there, they're on vacation, right? Like they're deployed, they're doing the job they need to do, but in order for them to focus on that job, you have that support, right? So that's where you and I can relate to people there, right? We understand what it's like to go through that, especially if you've got buyers that are, let's say they're moving to the Baltimore area, right? And they're coming from Washington or Hawaii, right? When you talk to the spouse, the wife, you're like, what do you want to know? I can find daycares, I can find, employment places, I can find good schools for you. Like, what is it that you're needing? What's going to be most comfortable? And then you relate to that, right? Like that's the advantage. You've made those moves before. You know what it takes.
Yes.
Yeah. So what kind of other things are you looking to get into in Baltimore? Is there anything that we can help promote for you? Is there any, do you have any workshops coming up? Are you going to, do anything in that area that we can let people know to come sign up for?
Well, I've done some first time homebuyer workshops, and I would love to do a veterans workshop some
Sure.
soon.
Yeah. So I would ask you, have you ever thought about going to your local VFW to see if they would let you do a workshop for the veterans?
I never thought of the VFW. That would be good. Yeah, because there are
Absolutely.
several around here. We
Yeah.
do karaoke at a few of them.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Well, you got VFW, you have the American Legion, you've got the DAV. A lot of people don't realize, when you're trying to help veterans and you're trying to get in there, like, you know, uh, our team specifically, we have a partnership with the Texas VFW, and we do a lot to support them. We go to their conventions and we set up tables and we talk to veterans about their home loan benefits. We encourage everybody, just go to your local VFW and bring an information flyer about the VA loan, the same thing you learned in the course, and say, hey, I just want to share this with your people. You will be surprised at how many people just want to learn, right? And if you lead with education, you're always going to do better, right? it, it shows that you're trying to show them how they can use the benefit versus going in, hey, you can use this, you want me to help you so I can make some money. I'm trying to teach you, you can, and then they make the choice. But yeah, I would tell you to go look at those places. They'd be great places to start, and you would probably get some other resources that you could go take a look at from them.
the good thing about the VA loan is you could use it more than one time. Like you could also use it in your second home. And
Yeah, absolutely. The beautiful thing about that benefit is it never expires. You can use it as many times as you want. And if it's a full entitlement of a VA loan, meaning you don't own a home or don't have a home on the COE currently, you can buy as much as you want. You're not limited. So if you got lucky and you got some great job coming out of the military that you could afford a $2.5 million house, buy it. You can do it on a VA, 100%, 100% financing.
no
So
PMI insurance either.
no PMI either. That is absolutely correct, and that's a big thing. If you're a veteran that doesn't have that you have a service connected rating of 10% or more, meaning that they give you a little bit of money for what happened in the service. You don't pay a funding fee, which is also huge, which would be A funding fee to a VA loan is the same thing as upfront mortgage insurance on an FHA, but the difference is you can roll the entire amount the VA wants to do into the loan, and then you don't pay mortgage insurance because the VA backs you. Whereas in an FHA product, you're paying 1.75% upfront of the loan amount, and then you have to still pay mortgage insurance. So there's a lot of veterans out there that are being turned into alternative products to a VA loan because people don't understand how it works. They don't have the right lender on their team, or they don't have the right agent that understands the process of a VA loan, or just like you, Sherri, served in the military, right? To say, hey, they've earned this benefit for serving their country, and now you're telling me that they need to go do a product that's going to have to cost them tens of thousands of dollars because you think that offers better and you don't want them to use the benefit they earned. But when I looked at your website the other day, I saw this big thing that says support your troops, but now you want me to go to a conventional loan, right? Like that just doesn't make sense to me. So,
Right.
I know that everybody encounters it, but yeah.
Exactly. I never used my VA loan. Never. When I bought my first house, I didn't know better at the time, and I didn't have an
Sure.
agent. You know.
Well, I mean, even back then, just remember a lot of times in that the VA used to be that place where information was hard to get, and the resources that they offered, I mean, they weren't really publicized. You know what I mean? But as we've gotten further along, and now that we're into where we're at now, like the information is there and it's available, and that's why we teach what we teach. We want people to know that they can use those things. A lot of these changes that came about for veterans to do uh, unlimited if they have full entitlement. The county loan limit went up. You can own more than one, right? The funding fee being waived, like all that stuff happened during COVID. So how much do you think was sent out to people? Not a lot, but a lot of these major changes happened while we've been in this pandemic, and so that's why it's important for us to spread the word. Let people know. Like National Guardsmen that did 6 years who previously were not ever going to be eligible are now eligible. There is
Oh,
a grip of National Guardsmen that are eligible for a VA loan that continue to rent a house because they just can't get the down payment together, that could definitely do a VA loan. They just don't know it, right? They
right.
just
And
don't know. So that's where you start. You start putting stuff out there on your Facebook page in your local area, your Instagram page, and letting people know, like if you did 6 years in the National Guard, you you could qualify for a VA loan. We need to talk and just have the conversation. And it works that way. And it's amazing at how many people you'll be able to reach doing that, helps out.
that's great.
Yeah, absolutely. So, coming on the tail end of it, Sherri, so do me a favor. I want you to tell everybody how they can get in touch with you, whether it's a phone number, an email, a website. Tell everybody how they can reach out and connect with you if they're looking to purchase in the Baltimore area. So that way, once they're ready to go, they can give you a call or they can send you an email or a message.
Well, they could reach me on social media. They could call me. My number.
What's your social media? What's your Facebook or your Instagram account?
My Instagram is at Sherri Smith Homes. That's Sheri Smith Homes, and my Facebook page is Sherri Smith Homes, but it's under Sherri Smith EXP Realty is the name
Okay.
of the page. Yes.
Okay. And then what about an email that they can reach out to you on?
Sherri Smith Real Estate at gmail.com. And
Perfect.
Sherri is one R and one I.
Yeah, Sheri, not
Right.
multiple, for sure. Well,
Exactly.
Sherri, it's we're towards the end of it. I really appreciate your time today. I'm
Thank
super
you for having
super.
me.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime I can talk to a veteran. Number one, thank you for your service. And someone that is in an industry that wants to just help people, I love to do it. I'm happy to do it, and I'll always do it because uh, as veterans, it's really important for us to show fellow veterans that there are people out there that can help you, right? There's not just people out there that are, how we go. We hear something, and that's got to be the truth, right? Like, we're not good at investigating anything as veterans. Like, oh, my buddy told me that doesn't work, so it doesn't. You're like, yeah, it really does. I need to show you. And that's where we come in, to where veterans will listen to you if you can show them how it works. But a lot of times we just believe what we hear because that's how we roll. And
Right.
so to be able to talk to you and know that you're there to help people, I appreciate that. I'm grateful that I got to talk to you today, and I can't wait for other people to be able to meet and see you so that they can connect with you in that Baltimore area and get the service they deserve. That's the biggest thing.
Yes.
Yeah,
Client's
absolutely.
interest comes first.
Yes, ma'am.
I
Absolutely.
hope I get to work with you too someday.
You know what? I'm ready. Whenever you're ready, I'm ready. We can do it all day long. All day long. I would be honored to help you in any way that I can. And so
Thank
we'll get you out there. We'll get you into the atmosphere. We'll be able to help you put this on your Facebook and Instagram and website, and hopefully people can see it and they can see that you're doing these things for the right reason, and you're just here to help, and that's what's most important.
you. Yes,
Yeah. Well,
definitely.
I appreciate it, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.